Hello and welcome back to the 5th chapter of my novel Paolo, The Restoration of a Childlike Optimism. So last time we've met Timo, which is the younger cousin, and we continue with higher hopes. I feel good after visiting Timo. Although I'm deadly exhausted after the long walk, I'm better than I've been in months. Back in my new old room, I lay on my bed for a few hours, dozing and occasionally watching Netflix, depending what my consciousness allows me and how much energy I can still muster to lift my eyelids. Johannes gave me the password for his Amazon account so that I have a larger selection of series and films. Not that I don't appreciate South Korean series, but I'm tired of reading subtitles all the time and missing what else is going on at the screen. I'm glad none of my worries were justified and that I got out of meeting Timo without feeling physically compromised. I find that the heavy feeling that weighs on me when I think about going to uni here now feels a little less overwhelming. It was at uni where my problems started to manifest, where one day I vomited uncontrollably in the corridor in front of everyone after sitting in the seminar room next to a girl with a particularly strong deodorant. And it was in the university canteen where I collapsed from one day to the next, half an hour after eating a portion of vegetarian lasagna. The memory sits in me like a freezing cold boulder, and I wonder if I have PTSD because sometimes I dream about it at night and wake up sweaty and scared. I'm so terrified of peeing my pants while throwing up in front of other people. I can still vividly remember the feeling when the piss ran down my legs. I'd give anything to never walk down a hallway in a university building again. But I also know that I can't give up now. I'm one semester away from getting my Bachelor of Arts degree. The plan, or rather Mark's and my plan, had been that after I had my bachelor's degree, I would switch to the Freie Uni and do my master's degree in modern literature. Then we would have had a year together at the FU before Mark would graduate and get a job. Or he would have stayed at the FU to do his doctorate. Unlike Mark, who wanted to stay at the university and eventually become a lecturer, I wanted to get out into the world and apply my knowledge. Although I didn't know yet how, I know I was going to do that. Mark was the one who picked me up at A&E after I had my first anaphylactic shock, and who calmed my parents down on the phone and persuaded them not to come to Berlin. That wasn't necessary. The trigger had been identified. If Friederike avoided it from now on, it wouldn't happen again in the future. Mark put himself between me and my family and blocked access to me at a time when I needed my parents and my sister most. And then, when realizing he was wrong and that the one trigger came more and more, he threw away the towel and pissed off. When Mark was gone, I realized that his plan had gone with him. And because the illness kept me on edge and blocked every train of thought, it was difficult for me to forge a new plan, to create a where to, beyond the moment, with a perspective on a future, which had become impossible because I kept arriving at the point where I couldn't do anything, because it implied that I had to be in the same room with people, and that wasn't possible anymore. Into this plan vacuum came Mama, the rhinoceros, rushed in. Mama and I agree that for now I should focus on retaking my exam and not enroll in additional seminars, only those that I need to prepare for the exam. Since I've already passed 3 out of 4 exams, I'm only missing 1, and there are only 2 seminars that I have to attend. This means I need to spend twice 2 hours a week in an enclosed space with a horde of young men and women who are developmentally and cognitively incapable of thinking beyond themselves and of others. Also, they're still on the upper edge of puberty spectrum, and many of them sweat profusely. Perfume, deodorant, and eau-de-toilette usage is correspondingly high. How, I wonder, am I going to survive this? My parents and I developed the following strategies. 1. Sit next to the open window if there is one that can be opened. If this opportunity does not present itself, then 2. Stand in the open door. Wow, fun! And if that doesn't work, all that's left is 3. Ask the professor if I can participate via Zoom. So embarrassing. And Mama continues to exert her influence. She arranges an appointment with a mast cell disease specialist whom she met during one of her orchestra rehearsals. Honestly, Marburg is a village. Everyone knows everybody here, and my mother knows them all. The specialist works at the Institute for Rare Diseases in the Lahnberger Clinic, and he is willing to fit me into his busy schedule and skip an orchestra rehearsal, especially for me. That's why Johannes is taking me to the hospital, because Mama is taking part in the said orchestra rehearsal, which she thinks is more important than accompanying me to this essential appointment, during which I hope to find out that I only need to take this and that medicine, and then I'll be fine again. After half an hour telling me who he is, listing his professional achievements, I was already impressed because he's a professor, but now I'm in awe. He finally wants to know what's wrong with me. I give him a list of all the symptoms that I've been able to link to certain triggers and the referral letter from the Charité Hematology in Berlin. He studies them long and hard, then to ask, "What's your diet like?" "Restricted." "How much?" "I have 9 foods left." Note, 9 foods, not 9 food groups. That's a big, big difference. Part of my life is being hungry. Most of the time, and often even after eating. Not because the portions aren't big enough, but because my body isn't getting what it needs. "What about dietary supplements?" I shake my head. "Try sublingual vitamin D. There are also vitamin patches that some of my MCAS patients do well with." Then he informs me that he's going to issue some tests, and then, after he bled me and let me pee in a pot, he writes me a prescription. I'm holding it in my hands like it's made of pure gold dust and ready to blow away at any moment as I return to the waiting room where Johannes is sitting, the screen of his phone an inch from the tip of his nose, his glasses on his forehead. Johannes's eyes are not the best. I stand very close to him so that he can recognize me. "There you are," he exclaims. "He said he knows people like me," I say. Johannes can't utilize this information. He stares at me blankly. "He prescribed me medication that has helped other MCAS people." I try it differently and hold out the prescription to him. Johannes pushes his glasses back into place and reads. "Naltrexone," he muses. "That is usually prescribed for alcohol and opium addicts because it blocks the opioid receptors. I don't know it in such a low dose." "And the other one?" I ask. He shakes his head. "I haven't come across it." Knowing Johannes, within a few hours he will find everything the web has to offer, then store it in his Uberbrain and bombard me with it at the next opportunity. "We will go and get that at the pharmacy straight away," he says, standing up, sounding like Mama. Then he looks around and adds, "I just have to get to the toilet first." That sounds even more like Mama. "Damn," I say as I walk out of the pharmacy, the leaflet in my hand. "What?" asks Johannes, who is always so wonderfully curt. His effectiveness goes so far that he even takes verbal shortcuts. "They gave me the liquid form. It has SLS and sodium benzoate in it. That doesn't work at all." "How so?" "Because it makes my face swell up." Johannes nods, stands still for a moment to think. He looks like a robot, and someone hit the pause button and momentarily stopped him. Then he comes back to life, waves his hand and says, "No problem, we can do this, leave that to me." And with that, he marches home. I want to hug him. I'm so grateful that there is someone like Johannes who does things for me, but unfortunately he moves too quickly to be hugged from behind. I lie down for a while. It's no longer possible to be on the go for more than 2 or 3 hours. I even doze off and miss my lunch and my midday meds. That's why as soon as I wake up, I run down to the kitchen to warm up my usual meal. "Look!" Johannes calls out from the computer room as I, holding my breath so as not to inhale cat hair, want to scurry quickly from the hallway to the kitchen. I change course and head for the computer room instead, trip over the cat because I'm too busy holding my breath and not seeing it squirm around my feet. Gasping for air and one bruise richer, I arrive in the computer room. Look here, Johannes says when I'm finally standing next to him, who is sitting in front of the screen. I found a pharmacy in Göttingen that encapsulates the LDN itself. You could choose which ingredients you want in the capsule. None, I say immediately. That's not possible. Mannitol and talc are always in it, but we can skip the other shit they offer, and you get your pick of the capsule, gelatin or cellulose. Gelatin, I say. My throat swells from cellulose. Not enough to choke me, but enough to make my life miserable. They're writing here that I should send them the prescription in the post, but if I send them the scan now, they can at least prepare the package and send it off as soon as I have the prescription. Then it takes about 5 weekdays until we have the LDN. He turns and smiles at me. Okay? Yes, I say, and now I can hug him. He keeps still and slaps me on the back a few times, like in judo, when you want to signal to your opponent that you're giving up and that he should now release you from the stranglehold. That's why I let go of him quickly, and I get the impression he's more comfortable that way, unhugged. Still smiling, he pets my head briefly, and becomes clear we are having a moment of stepfather-daughter rapprochement. I'll go then, I say, my stomach growling. He breathes audibly out. Good. As if just waiting for me to leave, he rotates away from me in his swivel chair. But I know he doesn't. Not really. Johannes is just a little shy. One shouldn't take that personally.